Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and don't know if you've noticed, but it's rather a red week. I'm down 46,000 since last week, so that's not particularly good, but kind of expected given the macro environment. Maybe not this much, but we had the interest rate rise from the Fed and the small one from the Bank of England, and sort of everything's macro has been dropping, but Bitcoin has been hit a little bit worse from a few things. So Celsius network has sort of gone cold, as they're calling it. So they had $12 billion in assets under management, and yeah, they're sort of getting a lot of withdrawals. They blocked withdrawals, and yeah, they're sort of, the fans obviously are saying it's all there, they just need to get it out of cold storage and that sort of thing. But sort of people criticising it, saying it's not really there, and they've been sort of putting it on various dodgy things that they shouldn't have been. So they're saying they didn't have a lot of, or they had no exposure to Terra, but they did have some staked Ethereum, that sort of thing, which seems to be losing a little bit, losing its peg to Ethereum. So yeah, you could get sort of more withdrawals and potentially forced sells from Celsius. Barbel Finance, another firm, sort of freezing withdrawals, valued at 2 billion. Didn't say what, how much sort of assets under management they have, but yeah, various sort of firms getting forced liquidations. And then Three Arrows Capital, sort of one of the big ones, $10 billion assets under management, or what was at one point. So they were sort of putting it in sort of similar to a venture capital firm, sort of throwing a lot at the wall and seeing what sticks. They sort of put in every sort of small project you were seeing, NFT projects, small tokens, small crypto companies you're seeing in the last year, sort of raising $100 million, $200 million, and it was partly backed by Three Arrows Capital, sort of amongst FTX and Coinbase Ventures and that sort of thing. But half the time it did seem to be Three Arrows Capital there. So a lot of these are now dropping in value. People want their money back, and yeah, they're having sort of forced liquidations. They also lost 200 million in Terra in the Luna collapse, so that wasn't very good. And yeah, they were doing a lot on leverage, which they shouldn't have been, and so they now owed FTX, Deribit, and BitMEX. So they sort of forced liquidated their positions. It's the problem with going on leverage. People can take your coins. That's why I've never been sort of particularly big fan of it. Don't want to be having margin calls and that sort of thing just because it's gone down. So yeah, a lot of forced selling at the moment. But sort of the holders, long-term holders, aren't particularly bothered. We just carry on. You're also getting sort of somewhat forced sellers in the Bitcoin miners. So word of caution, really. This is partly why I haven't been sort of all that keen to average down, despite being sort of a buyer at sort of $30,000 and $40,000 Bitcoin of the miners. Now they're much lower prices. I'm not all that keen because they're mining at a loss largely. So yeah, we're getting 4,411 Bitcoin from the miners sold in May, which is up 4x from April. Not particularly good. Would be interesting to see what they're doing in June. I think you've got to pay for the sort of pro level statistics websites to see that sort of thing. I just try and look for the news to sort of piggyback off their accounts, really. But yeah, they've apparently still got sort of 46,500 Bitcoin in their treasuries. So you could get 1.5 billion potentially if Bitcoin sort of either goes lower or just stays low and they're not making money. Then they would presumably need to be sort of selling off some of this Bitcoin. So yeah, 1.5 billion potentially of sales. You won't get all that, I wouldn't imagine, but even sort of half that would cause a little bit of pressure, which a lot of them sort of when the prices are better, they wouldn't be selling it at all. Some of them even buy with their profits. So yeah, that's not very good. And the other thing is you've still got some miners are shutting down that are unprofitable, but you have new miners being added from, sort of, as I mentioned before, the energy firms. So this was sort of US and I believe some European firms that were reporting they were doing it, but now Russia is mining Bitcoin with their flare gas. So this basically is sort of a bit of a nail in the coffin for Bitcoin, the large Bitcoin miners, because essentially if they're burning flare gas that is sort of surplus waste, they basically just burn it because they have to, they can't get it into the grid, then their electricity cost is basically zero because they were sort of wasting it anyway. So basically their cost to mine the Bitcoin is just the cost to buy the cards. So they could be, I haven't done sort of the research into the figures, but they could be profitable, say, at $5,000 Bitcoin or $10,000 rather than sort of the 20 odds that everyone else is. So they'll be more than happy to even go down to 10,000. They might still be profitable and everyone else shuts down. And yeah, interesting. So could be a bit of an issue with the miners. I think I'd rather be just buying coins at the moment and holding. So yeah, Bitcoin's down 33% and Ethereum down 34.5%. Seems to have sort of taken the bulk of the drop at the moment. It's the big coins getting liquidated. The altcoins sort of, I think, sold off quite a lot sort of in the lead up to this. Often sort of Bitcoin and Ethereum drops do sort of come before large altcoin drops. So don't know whether we have got more to come. Still looking to buy sort of more Solana, Chainlink, probably Internet Computer maybe, and Audius. Got a bit of cash on the sidelines, but I was kind of waiting for sort of one last drop. I mean, Bitcoin was sort of higher a few days ago, and Solana was sort of £21, I think, £22. So yeah, maybe wait for sort of one more drop, and yeah, get some more in. So Cardano down 13% for the week. Solana only down 12%. Not really only, but compared to Bitcoin, it's not doing too bad. Chainlink, just under 10%, so not too bad. But again, these, like I say, these have had larger falls in the past. They're sort of more down from peak than Bitcoin and Ethereum are. So there you go. XRP down 12%, Power Ledger 20%. Kronos, similar to sort of a lot of the others, are laying off staff and sort of lots of negative sentiment coming out towards them. So they're down 28%. Not particularly good. Not all that keen on sort of buying at the moment, but I am essentially still buying small amounts because I've got the card and the earn tokens sort of sitting on there staked. The card is obviously quite good because you're buying sort of the lower amount, whereas the earn amount, you're just getting a percentage of the crow that you had, where sort of the credit card is new money going in, so effectively sort of buying the dip, where sort of the earn section, you are just earning 6% of the original price that you paid, basically, and it's now not worth that. So yeah, there you go. Basic attention token just under 5% down. That's not too bad. Internet Computer 12.5 and Audius 20. Still sort of looking at the Audius Twitter and sort of any news coming out. The sort of user numbers seem to be steadily dropping a little, which isn't particularly good news. I think they need a sort of a big news to come out. I guess they're not going to get a lot of investment at the moment, but maybe some artists sort of joining the platform, sort of backing them at least. Although there is a lot of competition coming out now, but I think there's room for sort of multiple services like that if we're going to get away from the sort of Spotify big music labels model. So yeah, that's the week really. Obviously a bit rough, but yeah, we've been through worse before. So yeah, leave your thoughts in comments below and like and subscribe. See you soon.